Hey everybody, this is Captain Lewis Belmont here, and today I'm going to be doing a video telling you what the difference is, okay? Because when I first picked up a marker, I was playing with rental guns over at White River Paintball in Anderson. Great field, by the way. Playing with a Tippmann 98, and I was wondering, why would anyone pay an extra $200 because the two speedball guns in there, this is a woods ball field, the two speedball markers that they had were the Invert Mini and the Empire Axe. I was like, they look exactly the same. Why the hell would anyone pay $200 extra for the same freaking gun? And it blew my mind. I was absolutely boggled by this. And, you know, you look on A&S Gear, you look on any of the actual paintball websites, and you see the guns that go from, whatever, 150, and they'll say, you know, all the features of a high-end gun, all that stuff, and then you look at the high-end guns, and they list off all these features. And they're, you know, $1,200, $1,100, $1,500. Okay? I mean, like, when I started, and a lot of people probably are still in this place, I had no freaking clue what would possess people to spend that much money on a paintball gun. Well, here's a couple of things. The difference between this, my first gun, it's an ion. Yes. Haters gonna hate, okay? But this was the first gun that I had. I got it on eBay. It was broken. I just fixed it up or whatever. It finally works. I do kind of like it. It's okay. The difference between this Smart Parts Ion, which is custom, then it's kind of nice, and it's got all the different upgrades and everything like that, and this Dangerous Powers Fusion FX, there's a couple of them. One, this is heavy as fuck. Honestly, like, this is, I don't even know what it's made of. It's like probably like some sort, it's definitely not aluminum. If you hold these two guns, they're about almost exactly the same length, okay? If you hold them, you're leaning to this side. This thing is ridiculously heavy in comparison to this. It's also bulkier. If you look at like the regulator and where the hose goes and everything like that, and the trigger, it's like really clacky. I don't know. It has the clamping feed neck. It's got a 14-inch barrel. The barrel's actually really nice. It's a spool valve. It's got a decent regulator. It has a double trigger that you can walk, and you can program the board. Differences: you have to open the grips to change anything in regards to the board, which is annoying as hell. The ASA is not an on-off. You can upgrade it, you can get a CP or whatever like that. Those are $60. Personally, don't really feel like that. I would much rather have a gun that already has that kind of stuff. Also, the regulator, it's incredibly hard to change the velocity because it's like this little nut instead of an actual, like, something like an Allen key, which most other guns use. For example, this. This has, whatever, an OLED board, and even this, most people would, a lot of people at my field will make fun of me because it's a Dangerous Powers gun, alright? I am not, under any circumstances, trying to pass this off as a high-end marker. It's a wannabe go. That's what I always call it. It is, if you like look down to the eye covers, this thing wants desperately to be an ego, okay? I love this gun, okay? I'm probably gonna keep this thing until the end of time. I love this marker. This has a different valve system, all that stuff. Yes, I'm comparing an Ion and an FX. Deal with it. I'm just trying to show the differences between the $100 guns and the $500 guns. And honestly, this does have all the features that a $1,000 gun has. No, it does not have the efficiency. No, it does not have the reliability. But it does have a lot of the stuff that you can show off. So I mean, like, it has a really nice OLED board back here that you can program everything outside of the gun. You just like, you power cycle it, and there's like 3 buttons, and that's all it takes. There's the button here, and the trigger, okay? And you use those 3 things to program this gun completely, like down to, you know, 1/10 of a second in balls per second. In the Ion, incredibly difficult to do stuff like that. Everything seems sort of backwards. It's all done in blinks. It's very hard to keep track of everything. This thing is used with an Allen key. It's ridiculously light. It has the Wraps ASA, which I like a lot, just that little flip-on, flip-off thing. So it has an on-off ASA, which does make life a lot easier, especially when something goes wrong and you're trying to fix it. An on-off ASA ridiculously is incredibly helpful. Little thing that I like about this gun, the switchblade trigger, where you can just like flip it back and forth. This gun does not have that. It has a ridiculously crappy trigger, honestly. The poppet valve system, it has that same clamping feed neck, same 14-inch barrel. But this gun is fantastic. I like this gun. You get, I mean, air efficiency. You hear people talk about that with the difference between spool guns and poppet valve, and all that stuff. But honestly, I don't see it. I don't see much too bad of a difference between the two, and honestly, if you have to refill your air every 3rd point, so be it. Honestly, that's a hassle that I would be able to deal with. But again, that's me. Gun snobs, beware. The differences between a low-end gun and a high-end gun. You are paying for the brand name. That is one big thing. And in paintball, you will meet a whole bunch of snobby people. I will go to my field with my Dangerous Powers gun, and I get laughed at. It's a $500 marker. It's a good gun. I really do like this gun. The biggest problem that I have is, like, the solenoid comes loose and stuff, but I can fix that whenever I need to, and just get some freaking Loctite or whatever. But what people don't get is that you're paying for the name. That's why people buy those ridiculously expensive guns. The other thing is that people, well, one, there's the reliability. And I have noticed that with both of these guns. The Smart Parts one that I got, it was broken like 3 times over. And I had to fix it. It was sort of a working progress, kind of over a whole bunch of time. I finally got it up and running. The Dangerous Powers gun, I didn't, and whenever there was something wrong with it, it was usually a fairly simple fix. That is a definite notice between the two levels of guns, between even the low and mid, is how easy you can tech the guns. Like, one of my buddies, the coach for our team actually, he techs axes and minis for a living. He does that a lot. He hates teching Tippmans. Hates it. Okay? They're really low on guns, the mechanicals are kind of annoying, there's a whole bunch of stuff you gotta undo, and the axe and the mini, they're put together in such a way that it's pretty easy to diagnose the problem. He likes that, and honestly, I'm with him. I've seen the two, they're fairly simply set up. That's another thing between these two. You have to take everything apart on the Ion if you want to find any sort of problem, okay? Because when I was trying to figure out what was wrong with this gun, like with the hoses or the solenoid or whatever it was, I had to take everything apart and then put everything back together to test it. And then take everything back apart when it didn't work and try something else. And that pissed me off. I found the problems in the FX whenever that happened. Boom, like that. So, you know, but there'll always be those assholes at the field. Like Matty Marshall just posted this podcast on PBA, on Paintball Access, with Lucian Blackburn. It was a good podcast. It's like an hour. You've got the time. You're watching this video. Go look it up and just listen to it in the background or whatever. But he told us this story about, he was a kid at this field, and there was some guy with like a brand new gun. He had like a, whatever this was, back in the day, you know, autocockers and shit. And he had a little auto mag, and something was wrong with it, and he needed some help, and the guy came over and he said, I know what's wrong with that gun. And he said, really? You can help me? And you know, he's the little kid, he's like, oh, thank you. And this guy's like, yeah, it's a fucking auto mag. Go get a real gun, kid. And there will always be those assholes at the field. There will always be the gun snobs, and you just gotta deal with that. You know what, honestly, take the good with the bad. All you gotta do is practice enough with your shitty gun that you can beat him with your shitty gun, as opposed to him shooting his Lux or his Ego or his NT or his DM or his Geo or whatever the fuck he's shooting. It doesn't matter. Outplay him. You know? That's the biggest thing you can do. The differences between the two, though: reliability, simplicity when it comes to teching them, and certain things like on the lower end guns, like air efficiency is one thing, reliability, and on the higher end guns, all the crazy features like the on-off ASAs and the clamping feed necks and the good barrels and the good triggers and the good boards, those things all come standard in the really high-end ones, and also the quality of the materials they're made with. As opposed to on the lower-end guns, where you get a base and you can add on to it gradually from there. But you will still spend a crap ton of money getting a very basic $170 Ion, which they just released the second one, but whatever, and upping that over time as you would just saving all your money and getting it all together and getting a much more reliable package, honestly. So always, anyone would tell you, just save your money a little bit longer and get a higher end gun so that you can enjoy it and really appreciate it, as opposed to spending your money on a crap gun and then spending money just adding on to that over and over and over of all the stuff that you need to fix with it, because that's a shit feeling. So that was that video. Recap: differences, reliability, quality of the materials. That's something that people diss me about with my FX. It is a fake Ego. It is. That's all it is. Like, even down to the eye covers and everything. It was made to look like an Ego. It was made to shoot like an Ego. And if I hold the two in my hand, can I really tell the difference? No. Gun snobs, do not crucify me, okay? I'm just saying, from my perspective, there's not that much of a difference between the two. But I can understand the pluses to having an Ego as opposed to having an FX, in the way that how reliable it is, which I already said, the quality of the materials, which I know Dangerous Powers goes as low as they can with that, but you can make it work, whatever. And the simplicity in which you can tech it, and the upgrades. So you will never find anyone saying that they have an upped Ego. Honestly, I can't ever say I've heard that phrase. You always hear stuff about an upped Ion, or an upped Shocker, or an upped Spider, or an upped Hitman, and all this stuff. And if you have any of those, and that's your cup of tea, and you like upgrading those things, go for it. Fine by me. But I'm trying to give advice to other people. I would say, save it up. Get one that you will never have a problem with. You'll never have a problem with a Lux. You'll never have a problem with an Ego or a MacDev, or, well, like, if you get a clone or whatever, or any of the really high-end ones. The best thing you can do, which I even did with this FX, is get it used. Make sure it still works. Just get it used. Honestly, that's the best thing you can do. So, I said I was going to end this video about 2.5 minutes ago, and I didn't. So I'm hoping this is still going to upload. Captain Lewis Belmont, I'll see y'all later.